In the age of ancients, the world was unformed, shrouded by fog. A land of grey crags, arch trees, and everlasting dragons. But then there was fire, and with fire came disparity. Heat and cold, life and death, and of course, light and dark. Then from the dark they came and found the souls of lords within the flame. Nito, the first of the dead. The Witch of Izalith and her daughters of Chaos. Gwyn, the Lord of Sunlight, and his faithful knights. And the furtive pygmy, so easily forgotten. With the strength of lords, they challenged the dragons. Gwyn's mighty bolts peeled apart their stone scales. The witches weaved great firestorms. Nito unleashed a miasma of death and disease. And Seath the Scaleless betrayed his own, and the dragons were no more. Thus began the Age of Fire. But soon the flames will fade, and only dark will remain. Even now, there are only embers. And man sees not light, but only endless nights. And amongst the living are seen carriers of the accursed dark sign. Yes, indeed. The dark sign brands the undead. And in this land, the undead are corralled and led to the north. Where they are locked away to await the end of the world. This is your fate.
everybody, and welcome to a Dark Souls challenge run. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, so this challenge run is going to be very simple, mainly because I couldn't actually think of many limitations to put on myself. I was debating doing this on Daughters of Ash. It definitely came across my mind, but I think I'll save that for another day. We'll consider this the test run, if you will. So, the rules are as follows. We are only allowed to use the sack as our armor piece. So this armor we currently have on, yep, that's what we're going to be wearing for the rest of this series. Except for the sack, which we get, I want to say at the midpoint of the game, but more like the first 25% of the game. So for a while, we are going to be completely exposed. The second rule I am going to try and impose on myself is we are going to do as many NPC quests as we possibly can. I'm definitely going to have to look up how to do some of them, because I haven't done some of them for actual years. So that's going to be fun. Our third rule is that we have to take out every single boss, including the DLC bosses and the side bosses, which the DLC bosses are going to be a lot harder than the side bosses, but that's okay. We're going to take them all out regardless. And the final rule is we are not going to utilize any summons at any point unless we have to summon someone for their quest. Which means if I am getting completely destroyed in a fight, I am not allowed to call for help. But with that being said, I like to consider myself at least somewhat decent at Dark Souls. I also would like to give a warning. I am playing with controllers, so my camera movements may not always be the smoothest. I know that can cause some people to get headaches, so I'm just warning you now. I will try and keep my camera movements as smooth as possible, but I am using a controller, so don't expect it to be the smoothest thing in the world. That is your warning, and hopefully I can keep it from being too terribly bad for you while we go through the series. I may add some additional rules as we go, we'll see, but I'm planning to do Dark Souls 1, maybe Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3. All of them probably with different rules, although I gotta admit, I've never actually beaten Dark Souls 2, so I'm not sure how that one's gonna work, but I am a master of Dark Souls 3. I have 100% of achievements, including the achievement to gather those freaking ears. Oh, if you know the struggle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But, all that aside, let me show you the beginning of Dark Souls. I'm going to try and get everything possible, although I don't suspect I will get absolutely everything. These messages are pretty much just welcoming you to the game, telling you how to attack things, and pretty much saying, hey, enjoy your broken straight-sword you're currently holding. It's also letting you know that two-handing your weapon makes you deal more damage than just one-handing your weapon, which is probably going to be something we need to remember as we go through the rest of the game. You're also able to sprint in this game. As you can see in the top left, we do have a stamina bar as well as a health bar, and of course the humanity meter, which basically the higher that number is, the more defense you have naturally, and it also powers up very specific weapons. The Bonfire is basically your save point. This is where you restore all of your healing items, as well as set a little checkpoint to yourself. Very, very useful. And you're going to want to be sure and collect every single one of those you see. Now this is the first boss, although we don't actually want to fight him. we want to run away from him. Because, I don't know if you've noticed, our little dinky sword here, not gonna be able to stand up to that guy. Alrighty, but we do get a second bonfire, and now we are faced with an archer who is shooting things at us. However, we did pick up a shield, which, if you're wondering what a shield does, you can basically just run at him and block his attacks. Although this shield is kind of bad, and so am I, apparently. We do also pick up a better weapon, which is basically just a bigger stick. But you know what? This stick will deal a lot more damage than our broken straight sword. I'm already doing great, considering my roll timing is completely on point. But basically what rolling does, it makes you completely immune to damage while you're rolling. There are also 4 different types of roll. There's a light, medium, heavy, and you can't roll. All of them have different immunity times.
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness. I'm done for, I'm afraid. I'll die soon, then lose my sanity. I wish to ask something of you. You and I, we're both undead. Hear me out, will you?
We'll hear him out.
Regrettably, I have failed in my mission. But perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. And thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know. And I can die with hope in my heart. Oh, one more thing. Here, take this. An Estus Flask, an undead favorite. Oh, and this. Now I must bid farewell. I would hate to harm you after death. So go now, and thank you.
The Estus Flask is pretty much your, for most intents and purposes, your sole way of healing. With the key that kind man gave us, we're able to access the upper areas of this fine establishment we found ourselves in. If you start as a pyromancer or anything of the like, I did not, you will find a item right there. However, because I started as a, can't remember the name of it right now, but pretty much you start with absolutely nothing. Ow. Including a really garbage shield. But doing the job. We're able to block things, and if you get behind things, you're able to backstab them, although I'm not doing a very good job at that right now. This is our first real challenge. A guy with an actual sword and shield. You also have a kick for when the shield is up, although he's not doing a very good job at it. Just like that. We throw shield away, and then we hit him. It's as easy as that. I'm probably not going to be a walking tutorial throughout the whole series, but I figure since this is the first episode, I may as well attempt to explain how things work. And because we have the upper hand on him, we're going to go for a Plunging Attack for some pretty massive damage. Although we're not able to do that again. Our basic attacks do deal plenty of damage, though, and my roll timing is still horrendously bad, which probably gonna spell bad news for the rest of this playthrough. So we're gonna go ahead and drink our Estus Flask, which does make us stand still, which also means we are open to attacks while we're healing. Luckily, he's a tutorial boss, so nothing that bad. Yay! He also has a very small chance of dropping his weapon, which is extremely powerful if you get it, but good luck having the stats to actually wield it this early in the game. There's only two things of note around here. The first is Snuggly the Crow, who you can trade with. And I believe there's an item back over here. There sure is. Soul of the Lost Undead. That gives us souls. Souls is pretty much how we power up our character. It's how we level up. It's how we upgrade things. It's how we do everything, pretty much. You get souls from items, from killing things, and from selling things later in the game.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords. Lordran.
In Lordran, level up and kindle at bonfires. This is Firelink Shrine. For all intents and purposes, this is your main hub throughout the entire game. This is basically where you'll find all your buddies you find throughout your adventure, as well as the best checkpoint bonfire in the game. Now, you could do a few really, air quotes, cheatsy things from this place. This particular Dark Souls is pretty open with what it allows you to do. If you have the Master Key, you can power up your Estus Flask right now. However, we do not.
Well, what do we have here? You must be a new arrival. Let me guess. Fate of the undead, right? Well, you're not the first. But there's no salvation here. You'd have done better to rot in the undead asylum. But too late now. Well, since you're here, let me help you out. There are, actually, two bells of awakening. One's up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both, and something happens. Brilliant, right? Not much to go on, but I have a feeling that won't stop you. So, off you go. It is why you came, isn't it? To this accursed land, the undead?
He seems pretty friendly. Now, when you see a little glowy bit like this, that's just an item to pick up. You always want to go pick up the items. Always, always, always. There's nothing bad that ever happens for picking up an item. There are also more people to talk to around here.
Hello there. I believe we are not acquainted. I am Petrus of Thoroughland. Have you business with us? If not, I'd prefer to keep a distance, if possible. Hello there. I realize that I have requested that we retain our distance, but I also want you to know that it is not meant in ill will. Here, take this, as a token of peace. No, go ahead. It's for you. Oh my, you again. Oh, I know. How about this? I have to await my companions here anyway. So what if I were to teach you some miracles? Would that please you?
Sure.
Very well. Then first, a covenant with the gods. Now let me share my miracles. Only their ultimate effectiveness will be determined by your efforts and your faith.
Now, we don't actually plan on using any miracles, but it's nice to have options available to us.
My companions are Milady and her young knights. She is young, but burdened by an undead mission. We are her defenses, to keep her from harm. An undead mission? Regrettably, I cannot share that with you. But you are my pupil. Perhaps if you show your faith. Very well. I can surely tell you, of all people, undead clerics are given a mission to seek kindling. Kindling is the art of feeding bonfires with humanity. Through kindling, we shall one day be granted magnificent powers. Very well. Through.
He just repeats himself at this point.
Come again. The effectiveness of the teachings depend upon your faith.
Alright, so there are a few things you can do straight away at Firelink Shrine. The first thing we're probably going to do is we're going to run right up here, get ourselves a free item, and then we're going to run right over to this elevator-looking place and just jump right down. After turning around, we can just jump right on out. And hooray! We found a bunch of free goodies that are completely secret. Homeward Bone lets us teleport back to a bonfire that we last rested at. Morningstar is a mace, and Talisman lets us use those miracles he was talking about. And the Cracked Red Eye Orb lets you invade people, which we won't be doing. Lloyd's Talisman prevents opponents from healing with their Estus Flask. Very good in PvP. There are some items in this little graveyard, however, we are going to be avoiding it, as these skeletons are much higher level than us and will probably kill us absolutely dead. Now, the only way to reset these skeletons is to either A, rest at the bonfire, or B, kill them dead. We could kill them, they give souls, but I think it'll be better if we just rest at the campfire, seeing as we need to reset this area anyway. There is one more person that you can go over and take a little chat with, but she cannot speak. She is the person you... Well, she is one of the people you go to reinforce your Estus Flask. She's also not able to speak. Now, if you follow this path right here, you could straight away power up your Estus Flask. I am going to choose not to do that, even though realistically you probably should. We're going to be playing through as vanilla as possible, so excuse me while I level. Alright. We have leveled up. We are now level 9 with, well, these are our stats. Basically, every stat has a different thing that it does, but we're basically just going to be going for a strength and dexterity build. A nice equality build, if you will. Now, there are undead for us to fight. They sort of drop down at you, as well as drop certain things at you, which you might be hearing up above. Yep, there it is. Ah! They can throw you off if you aren't careful, so be sure that you're being mindful about that. However, ow, you can also throw them off. I gotta say, I am not used to Dark Souls Remastered over Dark Souls 3. But this is a backstab. You basically backstab him and you deal a lot of damage. The item I am referring to is down there, which you have to make a little jump for. Honestly, I'm not too confident I'll actually make the jump. But, you know. You can parry with most shields by simply tapping whatever button it is on PC, but left trigger on controller. A perfectly timed parry will basically make the person you did it on go, oh, and then you can hit him for free. Got him. Rats are a good way to farm humanities, actually. Humanity is that little counter I mentioned in the top left, which powers you up, and you can also turn human, should you like. Alright, we have arrived in Undead Bird. Pretty much, ow. The starting area, for all intents and purposes. I am completely getting it handed to me, which should show that I am, rusty. Rusty is the nice way of putting it, that's for sure. Actually, does the short sword have more stats? No. Okay. I was gonna say we should probably use the short sword, but the club, for right now, is doing fine. Even though it's a pretty slow weapon. But so's the weapon I plan to use for this character. The weapons I plan to use for her are going to be the Claymore, as well as a bow. Just for... Claymore has really good strength and dex scaling, and bows have really good dex scaling. Ow. When they have their shields up, you want to kick them, or else you're gonna die, like I'm probably going to. Backstabs are like rolls in that they make you invincible for some reason. Not sure why, but they do. I'm gonna head up and deal with that archer before he causes any more trouble. Also, depending on your weapon, it will swing fast, slow, super fast, or super slow. Pretty much normal weapon stuff. If you're getting tired of my tutorial, don't worry, I'm not going to do it in the next episodes. I'm just doing it for this one because I figure it's probably best, considering it's the first one. These guys have spears and shields, but at this point, you know what to do against shields. You kick them, and then you hit them. Just like that. Got him. Most enemies have a chance to drop items, but this is no enemy.
Well now, you seem to have your wits about you, hmm? Then you are a welcome customer. I trade for souls. Everything's for sale. Things are getting treacherous in these parts. A horrible goat demon has moved in below, and up above, there's that humongous drake, and a bull demon too. If you stick around this place, it might end up being your grave.
He sells a lot of useful things. We are going to get the residence key, and that's it.
Thank you kindly.
Now, you could kill him, and he just drops the key, but that's mean. We don't want to be mean to our potential friends. After all, who knows how many we're really going to meet in a place like this. Now, these guys can be dangerous because they just kind of go, and then you die. Ugh! The main thing I'd say we have to look out for with this character is going to be status effects. Such as bleed, which does a % of your health as damage, and poison, which ticks away at your health. You know, normal bleed and poison stuff. Alrighty, now there should be a bonfire directly up ahead and to our left. There it is. This is going to act as our checkpoint for this area. Now, there is one thing I do want to note. Resting at bonfires also resets enemies, so be aware. If you want to farm in an area, you want to beat all the enemies, go sit, and then they're back. It also refills your Estus. So if you're ever in a pickle, just run to the bonfire, sit down. All the enemies will reset, but so will you. There are fire bombs that are being thrown at us. There's also going to be a little bit of an ambush, as we see there, from that boy opening the door. However, we're going to be able to deal with it pretty well. We cannot get in to this gate from this side. We gotta find a way around it. There are a few bits and bobs hiding around here, although we don't have the master key, so we're not going to be able to get all of them. But we did get the residence key, so actually I think we can, if I remember correctly. Another short sword, which we're not going to use for the time being. Black Fire Bomb. That is a really strong throwable item that you throw, it explodes, and it does damage. We're going to lure them up here just so we can beat them one by one. Just like so. We apparently one-shot them when we're two-handing. So maybe we should two-hand a bit more. Maybe that's, maybe that, you know, the little tutorial back in the asylum is coming into play right here. We also have a light and heavy attack, although, for obvious reasons, we're not using the heavy attack very much because it just makes us lunge forward. Not very effective. We use the residence key to get into here and access this chest, which has gold pine resin that applies lightning to our weapon, which some enemies are weak to. But even if they're not weak to it, it's still just a bit of extra damage. And who couldn't pass up extra damage? So we did acquire a humanity just from killing one of the enemies, which is a very low chance of happening. But if you do farm in an area, you are likely to see at least one, maybe two humanities, depending. Now this kind fellow is a Black Knight. He's pretty dangerous. And we also messed up the backstab, so that's just dandy. So what we're going to do, we're going to lure him into an area where I'm able to fight him a bit better. Now, he is a special enemy because even though he is harder, he does not reset. I messed that up. He does not reset when you sit at the bonfire, making him a permadeath enemy who also has a chance to drop some limited edition goodies, which I know everybody likes. Come on. Yeah! That's parry. You go, ugh! And then you can counterattack. It's basically a backstab, but better. Parrying in Dark Souls Remastered, a lot easier than parrying in 2 and 3. IMO. We shouldn't have done that. Ugh! Nope. Yeah. Backstab. Got him. Oh, we actually got a sword. That is not a very high chance to drop at all. Well, maybe we'll use that. I plan to use the Claymore, which is basically the Black Knight sword, but weaker. As you can see, our club does 87 physical damage. The Black Knight sword does 220. Let's see. My club has A scaling in strength and requires 10 strength to use. This has a C scaling in strength, an E scaling in dex, but needs 20 strength and 18 dex to use. Now, if you don't have the requirements for a weapon, you will swing it like this. So, don't use weapons that you can't use. Be sure you check the requirements before you do that. Now, he was guarding an item back here, which we are very gladly going to take off his hands. Blue Tearstone ring, that basically makes it so while your HP is low, your defenses go up. This is the starting gift we chose. It's not going to have a use until later. And even then, its only use is... Whoa! Its only use is purely, air quote, cosmetic. It's for the lore. I will say kicking upstairs, not the most effective thing we've ever done. I don't believe there's any goodies here. There is not, after taking a quick little spin. There is, however, some goodies here, I believe. Okay, one more floor up. Okay, here's the goodies. This is a crystal lizard. You want to kill them before they get away. They are also a permanent death enemy, so when they die, they're gone. We are going to put that resin we picked up onto our bar as we enter a fog wall. We're going to come up here and clear out some archers beforehand. I'm pretty much going to take the easy path as much as I can. Ow! Ah! Alright. But yeah, I'm going to be taking the easy path through a lot of these fights, as we're going to need to. Seeing as our lack of armor is going to be pretty much minimal. This is the second boss fight in the game, the Taurus Demon. He's big, he's nasty, and he really hates ladders. As you see. Now we're going to do the very popular way of killing him, other than the instant kill you can potentially do. Plunging Attack! He takes extra damage from lightning. Ow. Stun this. Excuse me, sir. Thank you. Now, I find that not locking onto bigger enemies actually makes it easier to dodge them. As you see. Yay! He also has a chance of dropping his weapon. The cheese, by the way, is just having him jump off this edge, because it is pretty much an instant death, seeing how big the fall is. So if you feel like cheesing him, just have him fall off the edge. Or do it the way I did it. Or do it the hard way and basically just beat on him as soon as he falls down. I don't believe there's any goodies here, although I seem to recall there being a lizard somewhere. I could be wrong about that. But I was pretty sure there's a lizard somewhere around these parts, although we find an item instead. To the left is a completely not suspicious bridge with a ton of dudes on it. There's a door here that we cannot access yet, and down here is the single best NPC in any Souls game ever.
Ah, hello. You don't look hollow, far from it. I am Solaire of Astora, an adherent of the Lord of Sunlight. Now that I am undead, I have come to this great land, the birthplace of Lord Gwyn, to seek my very own son. You find that strange? Well, you should. No need to hide your reaction. I get that look all the time. Oh, aha. So I didn't scare you. I have a proposition, if you have a moment. The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. In a land brimming with hollows, could that really be mere chance? So what do you say? Why not help one another on this lonely journey? This pleases me greatly. Well then, take this. We are amidst strange beings in a strange land. The flow of time itself is convoluted, with heroes centuries old phasing in and out. The very fabric wavers, and relations shift and obscure. There's no telling how much longer your world and mine will remain in contact. But use this
to summon one another as spirits, cross the gaps between the worlds, and engage in jolly cooperation. Of course, we are not the only ones engaged in this, but I am a warrior of the sun. Spot my summon signature easily by its brilliant aura. If you miss it, you must be blind.
This is Solaire. This is one of the NPCs we have to do a quest for. He's also the best boy, and you cannot say anything otherwise. The item he gave us is the white soapstone. It allows us to call for help. That thing that we're not allowed to do. There is a bit of oil on this bridge, as well as a lot of dudes, but seeing as I've already played this game, I knew what was coming. He now guards the bridge to get under there. However, if we come down here and through this little door right here, kick a ladder, we now have a shortcut back to the bonfire. Woo! Now, I'm going to end this episode with a little bit of a trick. We can use our single humanity to become human. What are the benefits of becoming human, I hear you ask? Well, we're not a wrinkled old prune, and we can buff, well, metaphorically buff, we can kindle every bonfire so that we get more Estus from it. I'm sure you noticed at the start of this, Firelink Shrine gave us 10 Estus, but this one only gave us 5. If we kindle it, this one will also give us 10, which is just a neat little thing. Okay, so, I hope this episode was educational. I hope that I wasn't too overbearing, because don't worry, I'm not going to do it in the next ones. But hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was the experimental pilot episode. So, be sure and let me know how I did. The rules will always be down in the description. And we'll see if they change throughout this series. Although I'm pretty sure they may not. We'll see though. But let me know what you guys thought. And thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Bye.